From Walt Disney Pictures, Max is the most popular kid in school.
Max!
His girlfriend's a babe.
Call you later.
Okay.
His best bud is cool.
It's the Leaning Tower of Cheesa.
There's only one problem. His dad's goofy. Morning, son!
Dad!
It's Goofy and Max. In the movie, Siskel and Ebert give 2 thumbs up.
You look just like I did at your age.
Please don't say that, Dad.
A Goofy movie, rated G. Now playing at a theater near you.
I am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle.
It was a defensive exercise.
Yeah, best defense is a good offense. Or is it the other way around?
Welcome to Prattle World. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan. And in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to Secret Defenders, where I task my guests to defend their favourite movies that are underrated, infamous, or obscure. And she's back. That long-winded rambler, Natalie, not Hitchin anymore.
Nope.
It's Mrs. Angry Andrew Knowles. Natalie Knowles is here to talk. We've talked about dogs in the past. We've talked about Disney in the past. But now we're going to talk about a dippy dog, a goofy dog, if you will, as Natalie is here to defend the Disney underrated classic that is a Goofy movie. It's been a hot minute, Natalie. How are you?
It has. I'm not too bad, thanks. I'm excited to get going on a Disney movie, on a Goofy movie stuff.
Goofy movie.
A
we
Goofy
did.
Movie.
Well, I am going to set a timer for this one. I didn't say I'd mention it, but I am setting a timer because there's no way I'm editing another 4-hour podcast. That was a 1 in a million. It's not happening again.
I'm glad it was with me. And like, who knows? We start off with a Goofy movie, but there's going to be some full-on issues brought up down.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, we talked about some of my issues last time. Who knows what oversharing I'll do this time?
Genuinely feel like your therapist when we do these podcasts. I'm not going to lie.
It is. Like Steven Spielberg, I will literally do a podcast on anything to avoid therapy. Spielberg will make any movie to avoid therapy. It's just the way of the world. It's what we do.
That's it.
So you're now a married lady.
I am.
How does it feel? It's much delayed.
Exactly the fucking same. It's literally like we've got a piece of paper. And it's not even an English piece of paper. It's a Greek piece of paper that I still need to get translated back into English. So
you have to pay for that?
Yeah, I do. All the joys of getting married abroad, but still.
Of course.
For all intents reasons, though, I am officially Mrs. Knowles now.
You are officially, finally. Was it when we recorded the Dogs podcast last time that was announced?
Probably.
When lockdown was announced.
Yeah, when lockdown. So what was it? We got engaged.
Pretty sure it was your old place. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
At that point. So we're talking 2020.
Yeah. Well, we got engaged 2018. Been planning it since then. We should have got married 2020. Fast forward 3 years, 2 rearrangements and a baby later, and we finally got down the aisle. So there you go. Hey. Not done so bad though.
Better late than never. I mean, some marriages won't have even lasted that long.
I mean, to be fair, when you look at some of the as we come out of COVID, and obviously it was a tough time. I'm not gonna lie, it was a tough time for many people, and there were some people getting married before COVID who were no longer getting married after COVID. So I feel like we've done. To get stuck in the house with Andy for that long on our own, anyway, we've done pretty well.
You've not murdered him, so
we didn't murder each other.
That's good. That's good.
I think there was one day where it was like, I am going walking the dog, and he's like, I'll come with you. I was like, no, you're not. I need to be alone. I'm sure you did the same with me.
Oh, absolutely. We all have our moments. It's fine. It's understandable.
But yeah. Here we are.
Well, talking about people coming together, you're here to discuss a very heartfelt and emotional movie. And it's not what you would expect when someone says, have you seen a Goofy movie?
I know.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about a Goofy movie. What's it about? What's your synopsis? And then why you think more people should see it and appreciate it more.
Okay, so synopsis. It is one of the best father-son movies going, which I don't care what anyone says. I totally think that. It's about a father and son who make this massive journey across country, supposedly to go on a fishing trip, but it doesn't work out that way, as we'll get into in a little bit.
It's
weird. It's like a coming of age movie. It's all about kind of communication. I think this is weird because getting straight into it, Dan, I think this movie actually talks about, like, it goes with the whole, like, we should talk a lot sooner than not. Like, this is what, 1995 when it was released, and that only started coming about like early 2000s, like mid 2000s.
Oh, you mean like to talk
to a mainstream,
things?
yeah, like you look at kind of Disney now and it's all like, my family's the villain, and like, because that's what it is. Yeah, this is like, let's talk to each other instead of having an evil like witch person be like the main or wizard or whatever. It's like, no, let's have a whole movie, and the basis of it was, if we actually just spoke to each other, we'd probably not have left our house. So, which is always great.
Well, we talked about it when we did the Disney villains, didn't we? We talked about these. We talked about the surprise villains a lot more. We talked about the family villains that aren't really villains. There's just like a very strong misunderstanding or a disconnect. And I mean, arguably, Goofy is the villain in this movie, according to Max.
Are you seriously trying to call Goofy a villain? That is hilarious. I mean, if there's any villain in this, it's probably there's Bigfoot for a start.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a villain, yeah, Pete's definitely he's very manipulative. Pete,
he is very manipulative.
Yeah, and he's very one of the things I like about it is it's quite like emotionally intelligent for a mid-90s Disney film.
Okay, go a bit more with that one. What do you mean?
I think there's films where, okay, here's one thing. So spoilers for the film. We're getting into it. We're getting into it.
Straight from the
well into it. So
go and watch it if you've not watched it already.
It is on Disney Plus. If you have Disney Plus, like most people alive, go and watch it. It's there. It's not
pick it up from a car boot for 50p.
Old VHS, a lovely little VHS. So Max, at this point, so you know what? I'll do a very brief synopsis.
Sorry, yeah, I started off doing one and then failed.
Well, typical Natalie tangent again.
I know. So.
Just like whatever. Let's just do whatever I want. Taking over, but no. I think the basic plot of the film is that Max is a teenager. So these two characters. It was all inspired by Goof Troop, which was a TV show, part of the Disney Afternoon, along with things like DuckTales, Chippendales Rescue Rangers, things like that, Gummy Bears, all that sort of Disney animated TV shit.
90s brilliant.
90s brilliant. Or you could describe it as that, whichever you want to describe it as. But yeah, so we're coming out of that. Max is a bit older, Goofy's a bit older. He's getting into those difficult teenage years. He wants to impress girls. He wants to not be like his dad, not turn out like his dad, because he thinks his dad is embarrassing and doesn't quite understand, him on some level. He wants to be cool. He wants to borrow some cool from other people, pop stars. So he performs as one of his favorite pop stars, Powerline, which we will again talk about. And he's caught, and his teacher, his principal, calls up Goofy and is like, "You don't understand your son. He's going to die. He's going to be in jail. He's going to end up in the electric chair." Which is quite extreme a reaction, I think, for hijacking an assembly that nobody gave a fuck about. So then Goofy comes up with the idea, like his dad. He goes, "Right, we'll go on a road trip. We'll bond. We'll do exactly what me and my dad did. We'll follow this map." And Max was going to meet this young lady who is impressed with his performance as Powerline, or a version of Powerline. And unfortunately, because Goofy wants to go on this trip, that has to be postponed. So what he does is he lies and says he's actually going to go see this Powerline concert that they organized to watch together. And that Max is actually going to go there because Goofy knows Powerline, and they're going to dance on stage with Powerline. That is the plot. Basically.
The elaborate lie of a teenager.
Yes, because that's what we did in the 90s. That's what boys did. They went, "This girl will never love me. So best off lying to her to her face completely. And then that way, eventually, when she finds out, she won't mind. It won't mind. It won't matter. She'll be like, that was a pretty cool lie. Still a lie, but it was a lie. But I love you anyway. I forgive you for lying. So Max is not happy with this. And they're going to all these weird and wacky places and on these weird misadventures on this road trip. At one point, Max gets hold of the map and redirects the map. This family map, this heirloom. Just wiped out. Yeah, and he doesn't care. He's like, I've got to do this. I've got to impress her. She's the one. She's the one. She's the one. She's the one for me. I'm in love. And basically says he's in love. No, he's in.
He is like clear obsessed with her.
He is horny. He wants to give her a Hyuckin good time. That's what he wants to do.
Hyuckin good time.
Hyuckin good time.
Well, he is dreaming about her. So
he is. And then horrible transformations into his dad. Horrific transformations. I didn't know you could make Goofy's laugh be so disturbing, and it's just like
that in the middle of the night. Anyway, that was absolutely awful.
Don't worry, I'll let you off.
Thank you.
But getting to the point that I was trying to make, Max changes this map. Okay, he changes it to LA. The destination is in LA. He's now in charge of the map. He's the navigator, and Goofy finds out because Pete implies that he overhears PJ and Max that he's changed the direction of the map, and then Pete's like he's a sadistic piece of shit and manipulating, horrible, and overbearing. He's a bully, isn't he? He's a bully. Yeah,
but Pete's always been a bully. That's the whole point of Pete.
Yeah, exactly. That's his character. But he basically implies that the map's been changed, and Goofy should check the map. And Goofy is torn. He's so torn about it. He wants to check it, but then he doesn't, and then he does, but he doesn't. He
doesn't actually show you though whether.
No.
But he does look fuming in the car the day after.
yeah, he does look fuming. He definitely does. For me, he does.
He definitely does.
But he slams his hand on the wheel, and then the thing pops open, the dashboard, the whatever you call that, under the dash pops open, and the map comes out. So he's kind of like, well, I didn't actually open it myself, so
there you go.
It's open.
Made me do it,
and that's why he goes to bed like really depressed. But there's a moment where this is where I think it's quite important and quite interesting. There's a moment where Goofy gives Max a chance to redeem himself. He goes, right, you're the navigator. I trust you. I trust the map. I trust what you're doing. You are my son. I love you. Which way do we go? And it's literally like it's like Idaho and LA.
And LA.
That's quite. I mean, I don't know the geographics of America.
The map of America.
It's just like one divide going to these two states specifically, and you can't go anywhere else. It's just those two. And he gives him the chance, and he's like, "Come on," and leaves it to the last minute. Max is like, ugh, and he's leaning towards the left as well. At the beginning, he's like, and he's given it. And I think in any other Disney movie, the character would make the right decision.
Yeah.
But in this, Max continues to lie. He continues to try and get what he wants.
It's part of that. Is all part and parcel of being a teenager, though, isn't it? Like, it's this whole. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, even if you knew you were doing something wrong, it's like when you used to have like cheeky cigs and stuff, and if no one caught you, then you carry on doing it, and then
I would turn
into a 40-a-day smoker.
I've never ever had a 21. Cheeky cig in my life as a teenager. I'll have you know.
Oh well,
have you know?
Obviously, didn't live.
I didn't live.
Smoking is cool.
I mean, Goofy says, there's a line in the film where Goofy says, "I was never invited to a party, and look how well I turned out.
Look at me now." That's great, Dad.
Yeah, cheers, thanks. But yes, again, I'm just talking, but this is your defense of a Goofy movie. So come on, why have people not seen it? Why do people need to see it?
I don't know why people haven't seen it. And the only thing I can think is you've got a young audience who've probably just bypassed it, and you need to watch it if you've not watched it. Now, I can clearly say that everything from watching this growing up I'm big on Disney quotes randomly during the day anyway. So you say something to me, and if I can relate it to a Disney film, then it's going to happen. However, this is probably up there with like most quotable when you've watched it as many times as I have growing up, which doesn't make me sound very cool, but still. Prime example of it. Do you know the first song that's the After Today song, where it's like, no more algebra tests till September. So when you're a kid and you're going through like school and all the rest of it, an amazing song because you're like, oh my God, it's summer holidays. And it's that feeling of like, yes, it's nearly summer holidays. Imagine that when you're in your 30s, when you're a teacher in a school and putting that song on in the car on the way to school.
And you go, I still have to do all the lesson plans for September.
No, but still, at least there's no kids in for a couple of weeks. But which sounds really bad. But yeah, honestly, when I was a teaching assistant, I used to blitz that song in my car on the way to school at the end of every term because it just made me feel good. So it's relatable. It's relatable to an adult audience with that as well. It's just fun though. Like at no point did you get bored. You watched it the other day, didn't you?
I did. Yes, I did.
Did you get bored at any point during that film?
Like I said, it's not even an hour and a half. It's like
it's not
hour and 20
even
minutes.
Yeah. I think
if you take out the songs, it's probably about an hour.
About an hour. I mean, to be fair, some of like goofy songs you could probably fast forward it.
Yeah.
And like, but the Powerline stuff, which we'll get to properly in a little bit, but that's amazing. And it's not just the songs though. It's one thing after another. It doesn't slow down pace. And you're right. You switch it on, and then before you know it, it's finished, and you're like, oh. I don't even mind that I've lost an hour and 30 minutes of my life watching a goofy movie. It's just fun. And I like the dynamic between Max and Goofy, and I like that they kind of, you're right, he doesn't make the right decision at that point when with the roads and stuff, but then it actually just has a conversation. Like it's that bit when they're in the car and they're going, I mean, I know everything's going on. They're like going down a river and Goofy's shouting at him. And he's like, and Max is going, I'm not your little boy anymore. And Goofy's just like proper typical dad going, I know that. Just like, I just want to be part of your life. And I'm like, oh, that used to get me when I was little, but now it gets me like, now we've got a kid of my own. It's like, oof, right in the heartstrings.
I do I like the little hi dad soup moment as well.
That's adorable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like in between the whole like Bigfoot extravaganza.
Yeah, I think that's the bit where I'm like, okay.
Okay, so, but you say this, but do you know when they've got the Bigfoot thing and he's like rooting through all the boxes and then Bigfoot's got the underwear on his head and then he goes, hey, who there? Like that. That's how I imagine Odin's voice.
For people who don't know, Odin is Natalie's, is it an American Bulldog?
He is an American Bulldog.
American Bulldog, yeah.
Yeah.
So... I can see that.
That's how I imagine every time. So whenever anyone walks past the window in our house and he like chirps his head up, that in my mind, it's Bigfoot going, who's there? Like that. That's literally that goes through my mind every time he does it. And it makes me laugh. Makes me think of a Goofy. So I literally think about a Goofy movie at least twice a day. At least.
Wow. I didn't know. Is that strongly linked in your brain that you're like, my honestly, dog is just Bigfoot?
Bigfoot. I mean, he is quite big anyway, isn't he? But yeah, anyone walks past and I'm like,
I guess like you know, the Bee Gees thing, I was like, okay, right, got it.
Yeah, I mean, that took it away a little bit. It could have been a different song, but.
I will say this though. Apparently, this is the idea was for this film came from Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was the kind of architect of the Disney Renaissance era. And I talked about Ron Miller in our Dark Disney Discussions podcast about his. And Katzenberg and Michael Eisner came and they basically were like, right, we're going to do this. We're going to go this direction. We've had all the dark stuff. We've had the black cauldrons and the black holes. We're going to go to this other direction. And it was his idea because he had a road trip with his daughter and they brought them close together. And that's
there you go. Based on a true story.
Based on a true story. And then his favorite song, turns out, is Staying Alive by the Bee Gees.
Oh, so that's why it's in there.
There you go.
That makes slightly more sense now as to why there's the random Bee Gees song in the middle of this.
But yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of like going into this, you don't expect it to get you in the feels the way it does.
Oh, and every so often as well. It's not, and it's weird the way that it does get you. Like I think it gets me. Oh, where is it? I mean, in all intents and purposes, it's a goofy movie. It's very silly. It's very stupid. Like it's just goofy, isn't it? And we're just kind of going along for the ride. But even when we get to the bit, because they're not talking, well, they are talking to each other. They're just not listening, not actively listening to each other.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, do you like that?
I like that.
And that's just typical teenage stuff, though, isn't it? Like you never listen to any authority figure at all, ever, or you roll your eyes at them. Like honestly, it's one of them things, isn't it? When you're growing up, like I've got nieces now who are in the teens and a nephew, and Jesus, I don't think they've ever opened their eyes fully without eye rolling over the past however long they've been teenagers for.
I got called. Do you remember Kevin and Perry?
Yes.
I used to get called Kevin because I used to like.
Yeah, we call them Kevin and Perry.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Because that's all they do.
Why do I have to do stuff?
What do you mean? I have to wash some clothes.
You're making me do things. I've already done things today.
And it literally, but it starts out like that in a Goofy movie because Goofy does something. He like destroys the poster, doesn't he? And Max goes, Dad, what are you doing? He gets so angry about it. And it's like, and literally as a parent, you feel like you can't do anything right. And even from like knocking on the door, he goes, hi, son. And then he goes, oh, I forgot. Hi, son. Cue the dog barking because I've just knocked.
There we go. Bigfoot's here. Bigfoot just made a cameo.
There you go. But yeah, like, and it's the whole kind of, they are talking to each other, but they're genuinely not listening to each other and stuff. And it's like essentially the whole film could have stopped if they would have had a conversation at any point, but they choose not to. Like, the time they do sit down and have a conversation is when they're all about to die, falling off a cliff, going down a waterfall. Yeah, when it's escalated so much and it's been kept in so much that if you were to keep it in anymore, it had been absolutely catastrophic, wouldn't it? Like, and it is like that when you're a teenager. I think that's probably what it is. Like, I'm 1995. How old were I? I was not a teenager, but like I say, I watched it growing up, and I think as a teen, you do relate to Max because you don't want to tell your mum and dad stuff, do you? Because you're like, oh god, it's so embarrassing. And his dad is goofy, so
true.
There you go.
Embarrassing, very embarrassing,
absolutely embarrassing. And then like, you don't want to talk to people, and then and everything just start getting on top of you, and you feel like you could take on the world by yourself. You don't want to mess up because it's the peer pressure from everyone else and all the rest of it. And I think it captures it really well, actually, just what it's like just to be a frigging teen.
Oh, definitely a teen in the 90s. There's a lot.
Yeah, a teen in the 90s, absolutely, yeah.
It's weird because it's dated. Yeah. But in a good way. Like it's not like, oh god, like it's not like someone said something really offensive and you're like, oh well, we'll ignore that in the future 2023 lens or anything. Yeah. But it's also not like cheesy and like shit dated where it's like, but then also like even though it is so 90s and it is so 90s, I think you also have, because it's a Goofy, the character Goofy's been around for a very long time, and even in the 50s, they kind of repackaged him as this kind of like, I think it was like Mr. Geth or something, and he was like more of a 1950s businessman, and they took away a lot of the elements that made him Goofy, which is interesting because Jeffrey Katzenberg wanted Bill Farmer, who plays Goofy in this, and had done since the late 80s, to not do the Goofy voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so because it was more of a serious story.
Yeah, so
he was like, oh no, just doing your own voice, your regular voice, and they did do it. They did do it for some time. They did try it, and then Farmer went up above and went up to Eisner and was like, people want to hear Goofy. They don't want
to. It's a Goofy movie, like.
Yeah, that's what they're here for. And again, the people who have heard him before, the people who watch Goof Troop, or the people that have been more familiar with Goofy in the past and his past iterations, that's probably what they wanted to see in here. So it's interesting, but yeah, it's kind of dated, but it's also, I think, quite accessible at the same time. And I think the way that 90s trends are kind of coming back as well, and fucking mullets and shit like that, and
mullets.
Bad hairstyles.
That's the thing that's coming back.
there's a ton of other bad
mullets and porn tashes. That's what everyone needs.
Everybody needs a porn tash.
Everyone needs a porn tash.
No, I just it's bizarre, but it's odd, and it does have a big following. Like it does have a huge following. They did a reunion, a 20-year anniversary in 2015 at D23, and the theatre had 500 seats, completely sold out.
Really?
And not only that, they turned away hundreds more who wanted to get in.
See, this is it. Who'd have thought? Like literally straight to video release from, like you said, from like a little 20-minute cartoon strip that was on like once a week, and that's it. I think that's it. But it's like the collectibles thing and stuff now. Like me and Andy have this thing where you know when you used to go to your nan's house and your nan would have like them little, I don't know, like little tiny little trinkets everywhere, like little statues of birds,
like porcelain dolls
and all the rest of the stuff, and like that's the stuff that they used to collect. And now we sit in our house and like, well, we're Disney absolute dorks, haven't we? So like Andy's got lightsabers everywhere and I've got Disney stuff everywhere, and I think, oh my god, this is like, it's the same thing, but it's classed as retro and stuff now, isn't it? Like the toys that Andy honestly, the toys that Andy used to play with that are now going, that he sold or lost or whatever, and now go for thousands on eBay, and it's all that kind of stuff, and it is all that coming back, and it's, I don't know, it's not like, it's like reliving your youth, but to the point where you're like, oh, let's watch this film again, let's do that. And you, like you say, you go back and you watch certain films and you think, oh god, wouldn't really want to watch that again, but you go back and watch a Goofy movie and think, yeah, actually, and you can go, and it's a different perspective, isn't it? Like you watch it growing up as a teenager and you think, yeah, Max, yeah, totally right, you should definitely change the map because he wants to get with that girl that he's like obsessing over. And then you watch it, like I said, I watched it the other week, and we've got Addy now, and it's like the connection that Goofy wants to keep with his son, and it's like you see it through different eyes and stuff. It's just, never thought I'd say that about a Goofy movie, Dan, but there you go. It's
generational.
So weird, but there you go.
Well, I will say it was very 90s. I must have been partly inspired by it because I did at my school a kind of Powerline mime.
Yes, please tell me there's a video of this somewhere, because if there to get it,
probably is. No, I don't think it's something I've got on me anywhere. It was at my primary school. It must have been like 98, so maybe I was somewhat inspired. I don't remember really I remember having seen it, but I don't remember really loving it necessarily. I think the Powerline stuff was quite emblematic, though. I remember that stuff over. I think
them songs are absolutely banging, though. That's why
they are that. I'll give you that. And in there performed by Tevin Campbell, the R&B platinum artist. And you are right, they are fucking bangers. They are absolute bangers.
Both of them. There's literally two of them in there. Absolute. Yeah. This is the only Disney film where I will sit and listen to the credits, because fucking, is it Eye to Eye that comes on while the credits are rolling? And I sat there and I listened and I was singing along, going, Eye to yes. And the baby woke up because she was having a nap all the way through that movie.
And then you woke the baby up.
And then I woke the baby up.
How dare you? How dare you enjoy yourself?
Singing Tevin Campbell.
But yeah, I did. Mine was, it wasn't Powerline. Surprise, surprise. I was very into Will Smith at the time, so I did Boom Boom Shake the Room.
Absolute tune.
And I had the shades on. I had some kind of the whitest looking rapper you've ever seen in your life, and not a cool one, not a good one.
Not Eminem.
And then I kind of just mimed and did a dance and kind of, and there's some stuff that you think, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have done. Like if you look back and like what were those lyrics again? They
let me sing that in front of people.
It was about ladies with big booties. I see. And then I remember people came. I remember there was two. Again, I'm trying to impress girls or impress certain girls. Didn't really work. Big surprise. That story of my life.
I mean, you were in primary school, so I'm kind of glad it didn't.
I just wanted some attention, Natalie. It didn't have to be anything. It didn't have to be anything physical. Just like, maybe just spend some time with me. Talk to me. Have a conversation with me, please. There's anything. Oh. I am desperate.
I know, but you were in primary school. You could have gone off and pulled the pigtails, and they'd probably been like, "Oh."
Hey, we had a very mature primary school in St Anne's on Sea. I'll have you know,
okay.
Very, very mature, very ahead of its time. My nephew now goes to the same primary school. In fact, I don't know if it's changed much or if it's still the same. Probably goes to the same high school as me as well, I guess. Anyway, yeah. So it was a boom boom shake the room, performed it. I remember there was a couple of girls said, "Why don't we join in and we can dance with you?" So it would have been a bit more Powerline-esque.
Yes.
Because I'd have backup dancers, and I said no, I turned it down. I went, "Nah, it's fine, it's cool." I think it's because it's not. I think it was because I just didn't want to. I either didn't want to pull focus off myself, or I just didn't want to have the hassle of choreographing something with them.
I love it, like primary school you, which is what, between 7 and 10, something like that.
So it must have been like
nobody should pull focus from me on stage.
No,
I mean, who'd have thought you'd have like grown up and done acting and
acting? 10 years professional acting. I'm not. To be fair, there are more selfish actors than me. That
I know.
And we know them. So there you go. So there you have it. But yeah, so I can relate to that. I can relate to the dress sense, the style. You know, some of the words, some of the stuff they were doing. So yeah, I think there's a lot of fun to be had with this, and I think because it's quite emotionally resonant and quite emotionally strong.
Yes.
And relatable. I think that's what people remember. They don't remember the silly, goofier slapstick moments, which are good, which are fun, and it's all really well animated as well. Beautifully, really over exaggerated, insane, you know. And you can have fun with that, but then you come back to the core concept, which is this father-son relationship.
It does it really well as well, like all the way through it, even to the point where they kind of reconcile at the end. Is that the right word? Reconcile? Check me out. But even like when they get to, when they get to the possum part at the beginning, which is the first favorite possum. The first stop on our lovely little journey to Leicester's Possum Park. Absolutely brilliant. When that bit came on, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's going to be ingrained in my brain for the next 3 days." Just walking around the house, Leicester's Possum Park.
I love that. That's kind of like Disney poking fun at itself a little bit.
Yeah,
like the
absolute, of course it is.
Like it's all the It's a Small World After All, Pirates of the Caribbean, Country Bears, that sort of stuff. All the animatronics that don't quite work anymore.
And all breaking stuff. But like,
I love the bit as well where he's like, "Oh, this is all the characters," and then one of them just explodes, and then he goes something like, "That's right, Cornelius," even though he's just said his name is something else.
This is it, and it's like it's as much as we're making fun of it, going, "Oh my god, Leicester's," and you see kind of that's because that's the start, isn't it? Like Goofy stops off and he goes, "Oh, we're going to stop off at this place first. It's a surprise, blah blah blah." And you look around, Max is looking around like, "What is this place?" Which is typical of any teenager. And it's that whole thing of like, because when you watch a Goof Troop, if you watched a Goof Troop or Goof Troop, whichever one it is, that was young Max in Goof Troop, wasn't it? And then Goofy, that is the first bit where Goofy still sees Max as a young kid because all the other kids are quite young in there, and that's the start of it. And he calls him out actually and says that he's embarrassing because he has like a possum go down his pants or something, Max, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because Goofy's hung upside down on a tree, and then that breaks, and there's a possum that goes down Max's pants, and then Goofy just thinks that Max is like getting into the spirit, even though he's pulled his face the entire time that he's been there and gone, "Oh my god, what are we doing here? What is this place?" But Goofy then thinks that Max is having a bit of fun. There's some music starting, and then Goofy pulls him round and thinks that they're having a good time again. And then Max just absolutely flips his lid, doesn't he? Which is heartbreaking because when he goes out, he's like, "This is just, I'm trying to get away from you." And that line in itself, it's like gone from like this stupid, silly kind of Possum Park thing to like, oh my God, like that's really harsh. And would you talk to your parents like that? And I mean, there probably are people out there that have done.
Oh, there's probably worse.
And said, done and said worse things and all the rest of it. But and that's the bit that pulls at your heartstrings. I think as a teen, you have said stuff like that to your mum and dad, where you, as soon as you say it, you kind of want to take it back and stuff as well, or you might not have wanted to take it back, and then you think about it, it's that thing that keeps you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, like, oh my God, that one time when I was 12 and I said that to my mum.
Don't remind me, Natalie. I have moments like that that will keep me up. I'll think back to 1995 going, oh God, you're such an embarrassing prick. Why did you do that? Why did you say that?
Why do you say that? Why did you do that dance on the
Why
stage?
did you do? Why were you the whitest Will Smith ever?
Why did you boom shake that room?
At least I'm not going around slapping people. So that's that.
That's very true. But and that's it, isn't it? It's like that. The Lester's thing is Goofy seeing Max as this small little child, and Max is trying to prove that he's growing up and stuff. And it's at the start of it, isn't it? It's like start of the journey.
I think the complexity of it as well is that neither are really wrong.
Yeah.
Neither are really right either. They're both. It's both just two perspectives. And then
just don't talk to each other.
And again, they don't talk to each other. They can't understand each other's perspective because they don't talk through it or understand each other. They're just like, why are you acting like that? You're a prick. Why are you acting like that? You're a prick.
You're a prick. Yeah. You're a prickier prick than me. You prick.
if I wrote Disney films, this is how it would go. This would be my script.
I'd watch it.
Michael Eisner, what do you think to my script? Get out. Just get out.
Just me in the background.
Come on.
I'll watch
it's
it.
Not enough pricks in Disney films. We need to up the ante for the amount of pricks used and expletives used in Disney films.
Just get a 12A and just slip a random fuck in there at any point.
Just have Goofy call someone a cunt. What's wrong with that? It's fine. That's family friendly. Everybody wants to see that. Ever since I was a little boy, I wanted to see Goofy call his son a cunt.
Oh, no. Brilliant.
There you have it. Let's talk about, because this is not the only love story in this film. Let's talk about Roxanne.
Yeah.
What do we how do you feel about Roxanne?
I mean, to be fair, when I was little, I probably wanted to be Roxanne. I mean, I was 95. How old was I? 8, 9, maybe something like that.
So I would have been 88. I would have been 10 in 98. So like 7, 6,
yeah, 6, 7, something like that. Yeah, but
so we're not quite at the age Max is, because he's like
but I think that you kind of like
we're getting there.
Yeah, looking up to the teenagers, being like, oh my god, I want to be like that when I grow up. And to be fair, I probably wanted to be like Roxanne.
I can see that.
Like, well, she has like Ariel's hair for a start, which is every girl's dream, to have mermaid hair. That looks perfect inland and under the sea. And then but like she's quite quiet, and she obviously has this crush on again, a whole thing of if they'd have just spoken to each other, this would have never happened.
Communication. Where is the communication?
The key to this film is communicate with people. But yeah, she was very kind of like, I don't know, she's very kind of sweet, didn't really say much, so there's nothing to her. I love her dad in it though. Like this big, massive, overprotective guy who just grows people.
And she treats him like a dog. She's like, good daddy, good
daddy. Which is exactly how I imagine Addie with Andy as she gets old.
Also, like if we're talking about dogs now, let's talk about how the fuck does the dog world of Goofy work. He's got Pluto, who's his own dog, not in this, but in some iterations, he's a dog. And then, but all of the dogs live together? Are they like, but then
in the dog world?
They're in a dog world, but then we see Donald Duck and Mickey.
Just randomly make an appearance halfway for a song. Yeah.
I don't know how this universe works. Is it a race? Are they like a race within
the thing? Yeah, maybe.
Don't know.
But it is very surreal. Like I can't imagine. Like, oh yeah, it's very segregated.
A dog world
of like this is like a dog. This is a dog bit. You don't see. I mean, to be fair, there's not.
I mean, Megan mentioned the dog men and the dog baby in our recent Disney discussion, and I think this is what happens when a man and a dog have a baby. You get a dog baby like this.
Dog baby, and then you have to segregate them into their own dog world. Like.
And this is another thing that Rhea mentioned as well on that podcast, which you've listened to, which she partook. Natalie partook in the Disney discussion, and Rhea was talking about Treasure Planet being one of the only Disney films where it's a young boy and a non-romantic love story with another male, a father figure.
Yeah,
but I think in this one,
Oh yeah, and it does it so much better.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I have a lot of problems with Treasure Planet, but
I mean, yeah, because I mean, Treasure Planet, like you guys said it, didn't you? Like it's just an overdone story, and there's only so many times you can fuck. I prefer the Muppet version as well because it's just hilarious.
Tim Curry,
exactly, and the song Cabin Fever, brilliant. But
another thing, I at college they almost had us. We were doing this musical theatre thing to kind of graduate. We did it at the Blackpool Grand Theatre. And one of the numbers we were going to do was going to be the song. Is it When You're a Professional Pirate?
Love that song.
And
I love the bit in that song where he goes, "Watch out, boys! This is my only number."
Yes. Well, that was going to be me. I was going to be the Tim Curry.
Oh,
unfortunately, nobody cared about it. Nobody liked it. So it got cut. It got cut. So there was no
good song,
no pirate, no Tim Curry number for me. But it was us kind of singing over the original track as well, which was a bit weird. Which I think put a lot of people off because they were like, "How do we sing?" And I was like, "I don't mind singing over a track because I'm not very good at singing. I'll take."
But other people were like, "Hang on a second."
But I was Fagin in that, which I got one of the best and worst compliments I've ever had in some of my acting for that. They said the musician, the composer, the pianist for the show, musical director, I think you call him. He came, I think he fancied me actually. I think he
really.
I think he had a bit of a thing for me. A bit weird. Anyway. Moving on, we'll sidestep that problematic stuff.
Let's not, because we were on a timer.
We are on a timer. We can't do these problematic tangents anymore.
I'm gonna do this off recording.
He gave me. I've probably said this on the podcast before. But he said, "You know what, Dan? I love your Fagin," and he was like, "He gets more and more paedophilic every night." I was like, "Thanks."
I don't. Yeah. How do you take that?
I think it was all the mad finger action. I was that sounds horrible. That sounds really bad. Take that back. Like the kind of I wasn't. Oh God! Oh, what have I done? Disney.
And the hole opens.
Oh, what have I done? What have I done? But I was making my fingers do a lot of movements, like where everybody could see them. It's all good. Like
it was the character.
Yeah, it was a character. The character was a bit. It was like pleasure to meet you, Oliver. It was very much like that. Yeah. Was that a bit pedo-y?
A little bit, yeah.
A bit pedo-y. There you go. That was my.
I mean, as long as you weren't rubbing your pants at the same time, then you're absolutely.
Oh, fucking hell no! Right. I'll be honest. That's not the worst thing Blackpool Nafiled College ever did. There was a lot of let's just say casting people that weren't the right race and other stuff. But it's Blackpool, so that's where problems begin and end with Blackpool. Anyway, back to a goofy Roxanne. We were talking about Roxanne.
We were.
That was my fault. That one. I do apologize.
Well, you've got a podcast coming up, Dan, about Disney crushes.
Yes,
Disney would Roxanne be in your Disney crushes? Because as a dog, this is going to sound really weird. This is going back to the whole
here we go.
Dog man baby thing. Is she though? Because like people,
they're all kind of canine, aren't they? Canine like.
Would you say that she's attractive for a dog creature? That's really weird. There's no.
It is odd. I think to be honest. Sometimes when I'm Googling, I try and find the best artwork to advertise the podcast with.
Yes.
And if you go down a Goofy movie fan art rabbit hole, don't go too far down it. Don't do it because you will see things.
So there are some people out there that
they really like Roxanne. They love Roxanne.
Really right. Yeah. I mean, she is. I mean, she's cute. Like I said, the hair thing, because that's literally Ariel's hair from A Little Mermaid.
I think she was designed with that, I think, in mind.
Yeah, in mind. Yeah. So there was like little traits and stuff, and like the whole big eyes, and you can understand why Max would find her attractive.
Yeah, it's not a character I find attractive. Weird thing to say. I guess.
Dog women attractive.
We'll do that in the Disney crush thing. We'll get into that.
I was just curious.
Don't worry. I'm sure you were. I'm sure. Dog curious. Canine curious.
Yeah.
I will say this. I think it's nice that there is that kind of element that she's not a prize to be won.
Yeah. Oh, look at you quoting
And
Aladdin there.
yeah, exactly. No, but it came out like a couple of years before, so
Yeah.
so she's not like the most popular girl in school or anything. She hangs around with the geeks and the nerds, and she's as awkward and weird and quirky as Max is. Again, like you said, they don't talk, but they clearly have an attraction, but they just can't get it together.
Yeah.
And it's sweet, and it's a really nice, touching love story. The only thing I don't like is she basically when Max goes, "Oh, I can't go. I'm really sorry. I really want to be there. It's really important." She goes, "I'll find someone else."
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Where did that come? I'll find someone else. I don't care. I'll find someone else.
I like it when she just questioned him. She was like, "Your dad is driving you across the country just to watch a concert, which is why he then turned the lie into." And then we're going to join Powerline on stage for the final number. I mean, it was more believable that you were just going to watch it. That would have been fine. Like, oh, okay, we're massive fans of Powerline, and we've got an entire summer off. So, yeah, why wouldn't your dad take you away?
And now we're going to break on stage, and no ramifications of breaking on stage whatsoever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Apart from that one dog that died hitting that TV.
Well, I mean, we have to talk about Goofy's murder in this.
Oh yeah, well, there's two really, isn't there? There's Goofy's murder, and then there's the accidental manslaughter of the guy that hit the massive TV. So,
well, no, I'm talking about the mime. I'm talking about the mime.
He full on murdered that mime because
he abstractly murders that mime.
It's so weird, so funny though. I never thought of it as a murder until you sent me that little video where it's like, where Goofy clearly murders someone in the streets of New Orleans.
Yes. Well, speaking of dead people, I do think one of the better numbers in the film is it On the Road or On the Road Again? Or not On the Road Again, that's Willie Nelson.
On the Road Again?
Open Road, the Open Road. That was
Open Road, yeah.
That was it. Yeah. I think that's a great little number. It's really fun, and you get all the different passengers and people going along. I love that there's a guy in the back trunk with cement shoes on.
Yes.
Comes out and starts singing while he's tied up. Then there's a corpse comes up and starts singing as well. And you're thinking, what the hell is this?
There's like a bride driving a car and the groom just like parachutes in. Like, where has he been? Did they both run away from the wedding? What happened? And then the nuns, Dan, the nuns,
they're all over the place. It's a nunsploitation film. That's what it is at this point.
I mean, to be fair, the nuns travel clear across country just to visit that Powerline concert.
They did. I mean, they must be big fans.
Fans. Why is Roxanne not questioning why they're just
why are the nuns going? That's the real question. That's the real question.
Movie we want to see.
What? The movie within the movie. What were the nuns doing? Maybe that's Sister Act 3. Who knows? Maybe that's what it is. We're going to find out. Nuns on the Run. No, that's another film. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a really nice kind of, again, it just it simplifies it in a song how much they don't talk to each other and how angry they are at each other. Yeah, it's done really nicely through song.
Yeah, I also love that when when everything's falling apart, the cars going off the side of the building, they're arguing and telling each other their true feelings and just letting it all rip. And then they're trying to save each other and help each other during this very dangerous thing. Like they clearly love each other, they care for each other. They have some differences. Clearly, they're not the same people. Yeah. But there is some similarities, and I see myself in the film where it's like, oh, I don't want to grow up to be my dad. But there's certain aspects where I'm like, it's kind of ingrained. Like my sneeze is like my dad. My laugh is a bit like my dad's. There's certain.
You are you. I think that's it. I think at one point or another, everyone's got to realize that you are your parents' child. Like there's got to be bits of your dad in you, but there's got to be bits of your mum in you. And then there's also you, like because there's. I mean, everyone tells me I look like my dad because that's what girls always want to hear, that you look like a man.
I mean, Roxanne looked exactly like her dad.
She did. You're right. But yeah, like I always get told I look like my dad, and then I do things that are like my mum. yeah, but then there's also like my mum and dad don't have loads of Disney stuff on the wall and not as into they can't quote stuff like I can and all the rest of it. And it's as much as you are, it's the whole apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I think you have got to kind of live with the fact that you are going to be kind of like one of your both your parents, a good mix of both. Like it just depends, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And,
I
think
that whole
nature
nurture
yeah,
thing,
nurture stuff. And I think but a lot of growing up is kind of realizing that and being able to kind of accept that as well. Yeah, I'm going to be like them, but not in every way. Or it's doing the other thing of going, well, I might turn out like them, so I'm going to do absolutely everything in my power not to turn out like them.
True.
And this is the whole kind of, we're getting deep now, Dan. This is the whole kind of thing, isn't it? Of like, as a child, you kind of make that decision. So if you had a parent that drunk all the time, and that parent had two sons, and one son could go on to become an alcoholic like the father, and then the other son could choose not to do that and go a completely separate path. And that's the whole thing. And it's you realizing that is like, am I at the point where I'm going to actually turn into my dad or turn into that parent and become what they are, or can I take the best bits of them and create my own kind of version of, or a better version of what, because essentially that's what you want as a parent. You want your child to grow up to be the best person that they can be, and you kind of help them out along the way. And yeah, you do, like everyone, you like imprint your morals and things like that, but then they grow up in a society where now everything's changing quite a lot. Like we've got like 1995, there was literally, it was kind of like there was not much grey. It was very kind of black and white the way everything was. Whereas now there's a lot more kind of like I do it. Like you grow up and they go, oh, it's because of the times that they were brought up, and it's like, yeah, but it still doesn't make it right that grandma's saying that about. And it's that thing of like your kids will grow up knowing this version, but then wider society will have an impact on them as well, which is nice. And I think Max is showing that as like as much as he is good at, he's got Goofy's laugh, hasn't he? Like at the end of it, he does do the Hyuck thing at the end of it, doesn't he? But then he kind of accepts that in himself, which is a lot nicer. And then he accepts Goofy for who he is as well, which is essentially, everyone loves Goofy, don't we?
Yeah.
And they are embarrassing, but you still love them for being them.
Yeah, still your parents, you know, like, you know, on the, you might not like your parents, but you do love them.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time, you know, you still, you know, irrespective of, you know, certain things, you know, it's one of those, like, you know, do I always get on the best with my mum and my dad? No. Do we have disagreements? Yeah. But they're still my mum. They're still my dad, you know.
And I think as long as you can take a positive away from the relationship, because there's, I mean, so deep. There's always the thing of like, as long as you can take a positive away from your relationship, then that's great. Don't get me wrong. There probably are parents out there where you think
they're evil.
Stop being like, as much as they're your parents, it's probably healthier for them to be like, and that's where we stop now, and no relationship will continue because it's just toxic on both parts. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
whereas,
absolutely.
And that's it. And Max kind of is falling down that whole kind of, oh my God, rah, rah, rah. But then Goofy's intentions are a lot better. Look at me bringing it back to the movie though. I'm doing very well.
Very good. I like it.
So he realizes that Goofy has good intentions with it all, not because he doesn't want his son to end up in the electric chair, does he? Like, let's face it. I mean, that's what everyone wants, really.
Nobody wants
the people in jail or anything. So,
but
yeah.
Go on. Sorry.
No, go on. I don't know where I was going with that sentence.
That's all right. That's all right. Don't worry. I'll pick it up. So, I want to talk about the principal, Mazer. He is like, what's the word?
Did you ever have a teacher like that at school, Dan?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That teacher where it was like, you forgot your pen, no GCSEs, no job, no house, no food.
You're dead.
You're dead on the street. And all because you didn't bring a pen. That kind of.
And I definitely had teachers like that. But he's blowing it out of proportion. I think that's what the phrase I want to use. He's blowing the whole situation. All he's doing is he's just performed on stage a little song when this guy was talking, and his. I mean,
they did plunge him down a trap door as well. Like,
don't worry about that. He'll survive. He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Literally plunged him down a trap door and his wig came off, and the podium went down with him. So
It did, actually, yeah, it did. So he's dead.
So it's much.
It's like Spider-Man turn off the dark. Someone's gonna end up horribly broken at the bottom somewhere.
I mean, so he could have been injured, so you can understand why he might have been a little bit annoyed. However, you are right, he does blow it drastically. And that's not even the reason that he rings Goofy, though. He rings Goofy because Max is dancing with the secretary because Roxanne's just agreed to go on a date with him. So, like, they're all going in, and PJ comes out and he goes, oh my God, my dad's gonna nuke my entire existence. Then, like, frigging cheese noodle guy, whatever he's, I can't remember.
Paulie Shaw.
That's it. Paulie Shaw goes into the principal's office, and while he's in there, there's that little bit where it's him and Roxanne talking to each other, and he goes, I'm kind of sort of hoping if you'd kind of come, do you want to go on a date with me? And then she says yes. And then he says, everybody mambo. And he mambos with the secretary outside of the principal's office. And that is the thing that pushes the principal over the edge to be like, we want to ring his dad.
No mambo for you, Max.
No mambo.
No more mambo.
Yeah.
But this is another thing where the inner goof is coming out of him.
Yes.
Because he mambos with his dad at the start.
And because his dad's like, not bigger than his whatever his name is. Can we get the Mambo King? And and then Max goes, everybody mambo.
And that's another thing as well. Like when they do the perfect cast, so Goofy teaches Max how to throw his fishing rod and cast it perfectly, and it's a whole kind of dance number. It's a whole choreographed thing. Yeah. And he's like, oh God, I can't believe we're doing this. This is so stupid. Why are we doing this? It's not going to work. And this kind of leads for Bigfoot coming and all this other stuff. But as they've fixed their relationship, as they've made their resolve to help each other, they're about to go over this waterfall, and then Max manages. Goofy goes and he gives that horrific scream as he goes down that waterfall. I was like, he's dead. It's like proper, like, oh, it's like, oh shit, that was real. That was a real scream.
Yeah.
And he does the perfect cast. He goes, stick the, I'm a little teapot, and does it, and then he brings him up, and then that's another little moment because he goes, you do listen, you do care.
And then also they bring it back right at the end when they're on stage with Powerline, and Max shouts down going, hey, Dad, do the perfect cast. And they do it on stage in front of loads of people, which is also is a really nice thing to be like, yeah, you are embarrassing, but if you do that, looks kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll let you off with that one.
and again, that's kind of how Max feels after the school thing, because everyone's like, oh no, that was really cool. That, oh yeah, even though we hate you and you're a geek and a dork and everything, it's like, oh, things have changed, things are turning around, everything's better. I'm going to get the girl, I'm going to do everything, and then Dad comes and ruins it.
Yeah.
And I do like the Ferris Bueller moment afterwards, kind of the reprise of Stand Out, where because it's basically like Ferris Bueller.
Going, like, jumping over all the fences.
All the fences, yeah. It's very, very Ferris Bueller. But I quite like that as well. And it's like, and he puts on the shades, and that was a cool little, little moment.
Max. And then he goes, Maximus.
Oh God, yeah. And it's like, I want a little bit of smoking. Cheese.
Only dog that howls inside.
Yeah. That's the one thing I don't think has aged well is Paulie Shaw. he just puts extends words and says them funny and thinks they'll be funny, but they're not. Just like, oh, Maximilian. Yeah, it's like I'll be honest, the leaning terror of Cheeser, kind of gets a giggle out of me, but everything else is not very good.
Leaning terror of Cheeser.
Also, the girl who invites everyone to come round and watch the Powerline concert
in the middle of the assembly,
and everyone's like, yes. I'm like,
and not many people.
There's like 500 people there. Oh, and then when you see it, it's like the tiniest little fucking like terrace house.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think many of them were watching her because they were going, Stacey, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, baby. You're just getting heckled, and then no one else was listening.
I also did not appreciate reading comic books was considered a nerdy or geeky thing or uncool thing.
But in the song, when it says, then it's down with the textbooks and up with the comics, and at that moment.
But look who's reading the comic.
I know, it's very stereotypical.
He's got the braces.
90s stereotypical.
Yeah. Yes, very, very. Well, I mean, I as a person of that culture, feel very offended. Being a nerd and a geek. So,
but times have changed now.
Times have changed, yeah.
However, when that happened,
back in the 90s, where I said I'd love to see the Avengers on film, and people are like,
you were covered in.
They were like, "You're gay. You're a gay," and I was like, "I'm not. I just like comics. Yo, this is okay now at the moment to call you a gay. No, it's not. It's not cool. This is the 90s, and it's not cool now. I'm upset. I'm crying." But like, lo and behold, like people go, "Oh yeah, actually, Avengers pretty good. Like, I like that film. Good.
I like all the Marvel comic book films.
Now I want to talk to you, Dan. Can I ask you a question?
I mean, to be fair, you're
20 years later. Now you want to talk. Now you want to fucking talk about this.
You are the go-to in my phone for any Marvel questions, and I get a lot of information.
I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of questions about the High Evolutionary and all that.
Absolutely.
All that mad shit. Adam Warlock as well. I'm sure I get a few about them.
Who's that?
Who's that? Why is he gold?
Where did he come from? I can't remember her.
Who's she? Which film did she turn up in?
Brilliant. While we were talking about, because you talked about before the waterfall, and the song just before it, where they're kind of like accepting each other's faults and saying like, "Oh, you're a prick, but I love you," and that's basically what the song is, isn't it?
And again, that would be our Disney film if we wrote it. That would be the dialogue.
You're a prick, but I love you.
You're a prick, but I love you.
There's got to be one of my favourite lines in the entire film because they managed to rhyme catastrophe with trophy.
I must have missed that.
Did you miss it?
Go on.
Because I fully honed in on that the other day and I went, hang on, what? So as they're going down the river, it says, "You deserve a hero's trophy as we face
catastrophe,"
which is it was not pleasant to the ears. No.
I prefer the one I quoted when I was watching on Facebook was positive proof that I'm not just a goof.
I love that one.
That's one of my favorites.
I just like all of them. I'm not going to lie.
They're all good. I mean, like, well, they're not all good. I will say I think the more ballady ones aren't great.
No, yeah, like the one when they're on top of the car.
Yeah,
it's a little bit like.
Yeah.
I
think there's a couple. There's a couple more goofy related or centric ones which I'm not entirely fond of, but Open Road I think works. I think the opening number, was it After Today, works. Stand Out again is one of the standouts. And Eye to Eye, of course. Yeah.
Eye to Eye, such a good song.
Let's talk about Powerline. Come on.
But he's just amazing. When I was little, I genuinely thought it was Michael Jackson.
Well, he was inspired by Michael Jackson.
But
Prince, Devo, Kraftwerk, David Bowie, all the influences there.
Just merged together into one. But when I was little, I genuinely thought, I was like, oh my God, they got Michael Jackson to sing on a goofy movie. What? But
he was also inspired by Bobby Brown, but he's not so great a person.
No,
we won't get into that.
Yeah, we'll just take the best bits of everyone else. I mean, because we could argue that Michael Jackson's not so great as well, but let's not get...
Yeah, true. Allegedly. Let's not talk about Fagans again. Let's not go down that road.
No.
So yes, I
mean, to be fair, for a straight to DVD, whether you're a DVD, for a straight to video VHS release,
straight to Betamax,
they hit hard with these songs, don't they? But the Tevin Campbell songs, which are the absolute best songs of the entire film. I don't think there's ever been another film where I've literally gone on Amazon Music and been like, I want to listen to Powerline.
Download it.
I mean, because I am a Disney geek, so I will listen to like a few Disney songs while I'm singing in the shower and all the rest of it, just to prove that I can still do that.
Absolutely.
And then, but yeah, there's like to specifically go on and be like, I want, and Disney knows as well because you can't get them free. You can't get them free when you're on Amazon Music. You've got to friggin' have the whole.
Do you not remember when they released all those
package.
DVDs? Those like fucking really expensive DVDs Disney released back in the day.
Yeah.
But now they've got a streaming service full of them.
Yeah, they've got a streaming service. But yeah, this is, and like to be fair, I think my VHS was rewound on that Eye to Eye song a lot when I was younger. And to be fair, I think my brother used to make me rewind it and watch. There was certain things in our childhood that we had to rewind and watch, and the Eye to Eye song was one of them. And the other is from Space Jam.
Okay.
And it's the tiniest little part of Space Jam where there's a big monster in there, and he goes, "Get the Looney Tunes!" And there's one little monster with cheerleading things that just goes, "Looney Tunes!" And that little Looney Tunes bit got rewound in our house like 60 bazillion times a day for some reason.
You had a very different rewinding thing than I did. I would rewind different things on different films. Like Basic Instinct, rewind that.
I can imagine, yeah.
Rewind that bit.
Certain bits. Whereas mine was literally just little bits like Looney Tunes, and that's all in my house all the time.
Where are the boobs? Where are the boobs? Rewind quick. And then you take it back. You take it back to Blockbuster, and they're like, "Why is this all worn out? This part of the tape?
Why is it all crackling?
Why is it? Where's all this snow come from? Or this one bit? Oh, it's the most popular bit. Oh well.
I bet it was. Yeah. So Eye to Eye was definitely the thing that was probably played a lot in our house. My mum was like, "Not this goddamn film again!
Not again!"
Like, Eye to Eye, woo! Practicing all the Powerline dance moves in my living room.
I really like Eye to Eye because it plays to my like comic book sensibilities. Like he's a fucking superhero with electric powers, and he's got like a big atom symbol, like Captain Atom, or various other kind of superheroes. So I'm like down for it. And plus it's like. And he has. I guess he has to wear that suit because it is real electricity. He's like
got to wear a rubber suit,
controlling and manipulating. It's kind of like a hazmat suit. But yeah, I love even the lightning bolt hairdo. I think it's great.
He's just really well done in this film, isn't he? Like literally, like Tevin Campbell has totally outdone himself singing wise for it. But then I think that's it. When you imagine, especially again, 90s kind of pop icons, that's what they were like, wasn't it? Like Jacko had like the whole like one glove on, like, and then you had people like Prince with all of his like his hair was absolutely great as well.
Insane.
I mean,
insane.
Yeah, and they were just amazing. Like that's what you think. And when you think of an icon, especially like a black singing icon like that's in the 90s, that's what you probably think about. You probably think of like Jacko and all of his get-ups and like because he had the red jacket and like the half
the thriller stuff,
and the pants that were cut off and the white socks and stuff and all that kind of stuff, and then just really well done. Like honestly, like
considering his screen time, which is almost probably not even like in the whole film, probably not even a minute at most. That's the thing I remember most.
Oh really?
That's one of the things I remember. I remember the emotional core of the story. I forgot about the Bigfoot shit because, again, I'm not really that interested.
Locked in your memory.
And then I remember the performance at the start, and then kind of, I remember the kind of waterfall aspect and that, and the divide, and and Pete being really abusive and very very toxic, a very toxic personality. Pete is played by Winnie the Pooh, Jim Cummings.
Yes, he is, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the Disney voice. He's the voice of our childhood. He was.
He is. Absolutely,
he was the Shocker in Spider-Man, the animated series of the 90s, which is quite. He's got quite a range from Winnie the Pooh to the Shocker.
I was going to say he's done quite a lot of stuff, hasn't he? In fact, I remember, was it a TikTok video that I watched the other day?
Darkwing Duck, that was him as well.
Yes, that was one of them.
Yeah, that was a big one.
He's just great.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And the podcast that's not one that's just come out previously, but the one before, I talked about Jim Cummings doing an uncredited role in Jean-Claude Van Damme's Kickboxer. He played all the villains in that. which is very odd. He played like a character called Freddie Lee and Tong Po and all this other stuff. But yeah, I love him. I love his work, and people will miss him when he's gone. Really miss him.
Absolutely.
But I don't think he's going anywhere soon. But
good. That's what we like to hear.
Hope so. Oh God, I've cursed him now.
You're talking about Pete, and I think there's a line. Do you know when they're in the hot tub?
Oh yeah.
And there's that line. There's two lines that said, and Goofy says, "Max loves me," and Pete straight off says, "Hey, my son respects me." And that is a massive difference in both styles of parenting right there, isn't it? Like, I mean, you can tell all the way through the film, but that is it, and it's a very serious part. And he says it as if to say, like, he was going to knock Goofy out, to be fair. Like, he goes, "My son respects me," and then Goofy just kind of shrugs his shoulders and goes, "Yeah, well." Sure. And it's mad, isn't it? And you see it all the way through. So every time we see Pete, what is he? He's in the photo booth to start off with when he's trying to take pictures of that little girl and she won't sit still, and she kicks him in the shins, and then he like basically knocks all the air out of her to make her sit still and stuff, puts like a Velcro on her ass.
I love that Velcro bit.
to make her sit for a picture. And then but PJ's reactions as well all the way through it. It's like, how many times he but still does it in true teenage form. I'm still gonna, as much as my dad is gonna nuke my entire existence. Excellent line.
Smash me like a bug.
Smash me like my dad's gonna smash me like a bug. But yeah, like PJ he's still rebelling against his dad. As much as he might respect his dad, he's still rebelling against everything. Like, he stole the camera from his house, and then obviously was punished for it because he ended up cleaning the entire RV while they were away. And that bit where he shouts him when they're in, when they were just before the Bigfoot stuff.
When he bowls.
Yeah, and he bowls and he shouts him when he comes to knock it down. And it's just such a weird dynamic between. And
then he goes to give him a high five, and he's like, ah.
Yeah, psych. Yeah.
It's very what's really good and what's really clever is early on, like you were mentioning that Photoshop scene, we see there the two parenting techniques.
Yeah.
And we see how, even though Goofy is not initially successful with the child to get her to smile, to get the photo, he keeps trying, he keeps going, he's persistent.
Yeah. And then at the end, she gets upset when she gets handed back to her mum.
Exactly.
And then he has to do the whole, and it's that, isn't it? It's definitely, it's two hugely different parenting techniques.
But Pete needs to be right.
Oh, yeah,
Pete needs to, and he needs to convince Goofy is right. Because if he's not right, what is he?
Yeah,
he's wrong.
Like right at the end when they're dancing on stage, and then Pete spits his beer all over the TV, and he's just like can't believe his eyes and stuff. But there's a conversation missing afterwards because you don't know what the reaction is when they see each other again. We sorted it all out, and we're in a better place now than we ever were. Like, whereas PJ is still scrubbing on hands and knees, and getting punished for something he did like weeks ago. Like,
exactly,
it's weird. It's just he is a manipulative character, like in a fun kind of, obviously it's a goofy movie kind of way, but there's a bit of a darkness to it as well, isn't there? Like,
well, there's I mean, in Goof Troop he had a wife and a daughter as well, and they're not to be seen.
No,
which could indicate maybe there is a father and son thing, or maybe they're separated, or you could argue he's abusive, not physically potentially, but definitely some sort of emotion or psychological abuse. Like, PJ's deathly afraid. He's not just like, oh, my dad's going to kill me. He's like, my dad is going to kill me.
Yeah, terrifying.
And it's a very, like, and again, like, people often confuse respect with fear.
Yeah, of course they do. And that's it. When they're in the jacuzzi, he's going, oh, my son respects me. That's not respect, though, is it? It's fear. You're ruling with fear, and it's not going to end well. And
like, when you think of the word respect, you think like mutual respect.
Yeah.
You don't think like, oh, he respects me, I don't respect him. It's
a mutual thing.
Exactly. And you need to, there's an understanding there, and there's guidelines, there's borders where you wouldn't cross or you shouldn't cross. And there's boundaries, I think is a better word, isn't it? There's boundaries in the relationship, and again, Goofy doesn't want to kind of have any strict boundaries in their relationship because he doesn't want to he wants Max to be Max. He wants him to do what he does best and be himself. He just, again, wants to be part of that life. And I think that's sometimes like, there's no book on. I mean, there are a lot of books on parenting. There's a fuck ton of books on parenting.
A lot of opinions on parenting.
But again, it's the same with anything, isn't it? It's like the way you raise your child is not the way our friends Hannah and Nathan would raise their child. Or
it's like, of course it is. Like everyone's different and stuff, aren't they? And like you do find a way that works for you. Just kind of hope that your ways are like goofies and not Pete's, but still. There may be, but there's again, there's not. He's not again. He's not. It doesn't seem like he is more. He's not an out and out villain, but he's maybe more misguided in his attempts of trying to parent. Maybe there's some people who think, oh yeah, I must spare the rod, spoil the child, and I think he's using the term under the thumb, isn't he? He uses that term. Under the thumb.
He's like, keep him under the thumb, and that's how I respect you. And and Goofy, but Goofy in the hot tub, he's saying that he's like, all your advice was bullshit. It didn't work.
It didn't work for me.
And that's when
what he says.
That's when Pete goes, right, well, you're wrong, because actually he's fucking you over. He's changed the map. He's not respecting you. He's not, he's not being the son he should be to you, where PJ is for me. So my advice in the end is right. I'm right. I win. I'm the dad of the year.
And obviously there's always going to be parents that think that like this is the way that it should be and everyone else's ways isn't going to work and all the rest of it. But yeah, there's no other word for it. It's Pete, innit? Like,
it's Pete.
It's Pete.
And he's a prick. He's a prick.
He's a prick. You're a prick, Pete.
It's a prick, Pete. It's a prick, Pete.
That would have been us if we were in the jacuzzi scene. Yeah, well, Pete, you're a prick.
You're a prick, mate. You're a prick. We wouldn't hold back. We wouldn't be like polite or anything. We'd just be like, you're a fucking prick.
Yeah, I wouldn't have shrugged my shoulders and walked off like Goofy did. I'd have been like, yeah, well, you're a prick.
I love that moment where he gets in the hot tub. He's obviously quite a big character, quite a large character. He gets to the hot tub and he goes, you always put too much water in these things. Just goes everywhere. He's like, he always put too much water in these.
Literally full of one-liners like that and stuff, isn't it, as well? Like there's little moments that you notice kind of going through all the little one-linery things.
Well, there's a lot of Disney. Well, I was going to say, for a Disney fan, there's so many little Easter eggs throughout this. Like you can't move for Easter eggs. Like the phone is Mickey Mouse, then you see him on the road. The keychain has the Disney D on it. There's all these little moments. So if you're keeping your eye out, there's a lot for you to kind of allow multiple viewings. You can. I was always looking at the background for all these little characters.
Trying to find other stuff.
Like what are they doing? Like what the hell is going on here? There's an odd moment as well. There's a couple of odd moments with like some larger ladies or big beautiful women, BBWs, and like there's the little guy in the car with the woman on the road, and then Goofy breaks into the woman.
He walks into the wand,
and then he pulls this weird face. I don't know if I want to see that face again.
He's
pulling on his ears and his face. He's like, oh gosh, and it's just like
my girl. He likes a big bottom girl.
He does. We don't even we've never seen Mrs. Goof, so we have no idea what she was like. I'm
pretty sure there was an episode in Goof Troop that explained what happened to her, but I might be thinking about the Rugrats in the Chucky episode.
Goofy accidentally killed her.
Maybe. Well, I mean, he's almost nearly killing himself quite a lot, and he's killed a mime by accident.
True. Murder. He murdered her. All this murder.
And then, but in true style as well, Max taking over from his dad and turning into his dad kills the guy who lands in the TV and gets electrocuted during the concert at the end.
Everyone dies in the Goofy movie. So much murder.
No one gets held accountable for it.
No, why is no one being held accountable? I'm taking these Disney movies too seriously again. So this is one of the lowest rated and reviewed Disney films of all.
Pricks.
Who's reviewing it? Pricks.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that's because it wasn't appreciated at its time, maybe, or that people weren't open to it, or
I think it's a bit of both, to be fair. Like, say, if you look at kind of what was around at the time, it was coming out in 1995.
So you had Lion King, I think, and Toy Story.
Scar is a big villain. Pixar had just come out as well. That was like, oh my god, look what animation could look like, and now all of it looks like that. But yeah, I think that's it. Like, and it was straight to kind of
Video.
screen video, straight to video.
I will say this: I do often like a story that has low stakes. Like, it's not like a lot of these Disney Renaissance ones are like, oh, we've got to save the magical kingdom, we've got to save Pride Rock and all this, and
we've got to turn all these couches back into real people.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's all this kind of big fancy epicness about it. Like, Lion King's Hamlet, and Aladdin has these, giant snake and stuff, and all this kind of crazy stuff. So I do like often like a smaller, lower stakes story that's told really well. And I think a Goofy movie does that.
Absolutely. And it's literally, it does what it says on the tin. It's just a little story about a road trip between a father and a son, isn't it? Like, what more could you ask for?
And again, it doesn't have that tonal whiplash like a lot of films have, where you just all of a sudden like, what the fuck? Like, you're just like, why the fuck have we gone from this really, like, Love and Thunder we talked about just before we started.
Yes, we did.
So we've got, oh, I'm dying of cancer. Anyway, here's a fucking screaming goat.
Screaming goats.
And like, it's just tonal whiplash. And like with this, you would think you would also get the tonal whiplash because you've got the, I'm a stupid character. And, there's the slapstick and the silliness and the over-the-top animation, the wild kind of effects. But actually, no, it works, and it's timed so expertly that you never experience that.
You never thought you would have said that a Goofy movie was better than a Marvel film, though, would you, Dan?
Fucking hell. Dark days. Dark days.
What has the world come to?
That's the one I was looking forward to the most as well. That's what was so disappointing about it.
But I've said it a million times, is at the minute, Marvel is spaffing out, for lack of a better word.
That's the right word. That's the right word.
Spaffing it out.
Oh, yeah.
Just shit after shit after shit. And they're not
it's almost
like
you're
thinking about it. And
it's almost, Natalie, like you're in the same household as Angry Andy. It's
really?
Almost like that. I don't know.
But like, and they do. It's like, I was having a conversation with someone in work, and she was saying that, was it when they were doing WandaVision?
WandaVision, yeah.
They weren't sure how Multiverse of Madness was finishing and all the rest of the stuff. And like, but if that is your plan, how do you not know how the film or the series is going to end? Because you're supposed to be fucking, it's like a full, you're making a linear thing that everyone needs to fucking watch, because if you don't watch that and you went into Multiverse of Madness, you wouldn't have a fucking clue what's going on. And then same happens again. And then you go into Love and Thunder and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here? That's it, isn't it? And if you spend time and put in the effort, you come up with an excellent film like a Goofy movie.
Firing on all cylinders.
There you go. Like you said, all right, there's a couple of songs that probably are a little bit missed, but the majority of them are hit, and two of them are absolute bangers. Like, you cannot complain about that. The whole parent-child relationship all the way through it is great, grows and all the rest of it. Ahead of its time, because it's all about communication and the fact that communication can solve all of your problems, apart from maybe trying to break into a Powerline concert, but still.
I need to break into this concert. Let me in. I mean, it could be like our experience at the MEN that one night when they wouldn't let me in
because you had a backpack. Don't let him in. He's trying to get on stage with Powerline.
Don't let him in. He wants to get on stage with Jason Manford. So I'll explain this. So obviously the MEN experienced a horrible, tragic event during the Ariana Grande, concert. Awful, horrible, terrorist attack. Awful situation. So they decided to up security, and there were certain rules and regulations they put in place. Enough. Yeah. Absolutely right. Couldn't agree more.
But prior
to
going to the concert, we had no idea.
I didn't realize how much further they'd gone than I realized. So we got there. I come straight from work. I had the key for work, and I carry a backpack because it's got stuff in that I need. It's just there. So I go to work with the backpack, carry my lunch and all this other stuff. And I come to the event, meet up. We've all got tickets. We're all coming in. Nathan's got our tickets. So we've not seen the tickets. We don't know what they look like, what they say on them, what any terms and conditions.
Really?
rules and regulations.
We're blaming Nathan as well, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I blame him for everything. All of my life's missteps, I blame him. And I'm walking through 6, 7, 8 staff members. They have seen I have a bag on. I get to the point where we're going to go through the metal detectors, and they said, "Oh, you've got a double-strapped load-bearing bag. That's not allowed." And I went, "Okay, well, if you got a locker, I can put it in or something." They said no. And I went, "Okay, why did no one stop me? Why was I not made aware?" Apparently it was on the tickets. And I was like, fair enough, but I don't have the tickets. I've never seen the tickets. So I don't know what. And they were like, "Oh, well, you should have been told." And I was like, okay, I need to come in. And again, I'm not mad. I understand. I was like, I'm not going to be one of the, I'm not disrespectful. I'm not angry. I just want to figure this out. What can we do? How can we fix this situation? There's no, I was like, can I give it to you? And I come back after the show. I empty it. I was like, there is nothing in this. It's pretty much empty apart from like, I don't know what was in it at the time, but it was basically nothing. And they said, no, can't let you in. So luckily, we came to the solution that somebody had a car nearby and I could drop off the bag.
I like the other bit of it though. Do you remember when they said to you, why don't you take it to the bar down the road and leave it in there unattended?
Yeah.
Behind the bar.
Also, potentially a bit sexist as well, because the girls who walked past who had similar sized bags and backpacks got through, funnily enough.
Yeah, but we only had them on one shoulder.
Of course. That's it, the one strap rule. I should have known. Should have known one strap. Again, I completely understand.
Yeah,
I understand. It's understandable. Luckily, we did have a car nearby, so I could go. If I'd known about this, I could have left it at work. I had the key. If I'd known, but I didn't. So it was a little frustrating, and I missed the first number, I think. But I got in, sat down
in the wrong chairs.
In the wrong chairs, of course. I was like, I think we're in the right place. No.
Oh no, we're over that side.
And then I sat next to Natalie, and I was just like a bit frustrated, running back and forth and doing all this. And I was just like, but again, completely understand. Just wish someone would have gone, "Oh, you're not allowed the bag." What? Oh, okay. Yeah. There's 7 or 8 staff members because we were in the queue for 8. We were in the queue for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was
nobody said.
I mean, anyway. Fair. If this was a Goofy movie, you could have just hidden in a guitar box and got straight in there.
Exactly. And I could have got on stage with Jason Manford and I wouldn't have been shot instantly. No. Nothing would have happened.
Not have done.
Nobody would have been
taken out there. You would not have been arrested. In fairness, you would have stolen the show by doing an elaborate dance move.
And there was some Disney on performance as well. It was like a medley. It was like a medley of musicals. It's for ITV. There was a big thing. But it was great.
I enjoyed it.
It was a good show. I had a good time. I had a good time. Once I'd kind of settled down, I was like, oh, okay, now I can relax. And breathe. But again, it was a little frustrating, but I understand. I completely understand 100% why they would have those precautions. But there was also no signage. There was nobody who said anything.
You would have thought at one point they would have come up to you going, "You do know you're not supposed to have that pan."
Yeah, or somebody else in the queue might have gone, "Oh yeah, you're not allowed bags now."
Yeah, and to be fair, they looked through mine and they were like, "You've got deodorant in there," and I was like, "Oh."
No! Oh no!
They were like, "You can't take that," and then I was like, "Oh, is there a bin?" They were like, "Yeah, just there." And I was like, "Cool."
I started pointing out as well, like Lucy and Scott had gone through. I started pointing out, and I was like, "Well, they've gone through. Why have they gone through?" And everyone was like, "Shut up! You're ruining it for everybody, Dan. Again, you're doing it again."
Look, in fairness, Lucy had to go with you to put her bag.
She did have to go. She did have to go. And so she should. So she should.
Rules are rules.
The rules, and they apply to everyone, including myself.
Exactly.
There's one last thing I want to mention before we come to an end. I think, unless there's anything you want to say. Before we go, I'll do this little bit, and then we'll have your final argument for why you think people should watch a Goofy movie. But there's something really interesting that I discovered researching this. That the film itself has been called the blackest movie Disney ever made. So this is because like Black millennials and people around the kind of 90s era kind of adopted it because, again, we didn't have a Disney film representing Black characters and having a Disney film they can identify with. And because the Black audience feel that these characters were Black coded, they basically kind of adopted it as their movie. which I found really fascinating.
It is really fascinating though. Like you sent me some of the links and stuff, and I watched it and I was like, oh man, like, and you don't obviously.
Yeah, we are both,
and with predominantly white areas and stuff as well. Like, so you wouldn't even assume to kind of think that kind of thing. But when you sit and you watch and the reasons for everything, and you think, oh my god, I didn't realize that. Oh yeah, I never thought about that. And it was. Go on, you carry on. It is really interesting though.
Yeah, it was interesting because again, we've not viewed it from that perspective because we're not black, but the fact that I've gone, oh okay, what's this? And I've dug and dug and dug, and I've watched YouTube videos, like a half an hour YouTube video. I'll leave some of them in the show notes as well. I'll also leave the that panel, that 2015 Disney panel, in the show notes. This is for future Dan while he's editing, and. But I found it really, really fascinating, and like all the little moments, the little just the way that words are phrased, and the saying that Max is this.
For like the clothes that they wear as well, because someone put on saying that actually the clothes that they wear, that was kind of like the style for black people in the 90s and stuff as well, and it's kind of, and the school, like at the beginning with the school, and they're like, actually it's an overcrowded school, they've got lots of people in there, and obviously like we're not American either, but you've got kind of your jocks and all the rest of it.
There's
and
goth
kind of
girls.
That kind of stuff. There's goth girls in there, but yeah, and it's to see it kind of from that perspective as well. It's actually a bit of an eye opener, because you were right, like 90s there was nothing that black people could watch and relate to and be whether a main character, not Disney wise anyway.
Yeah, definitely not Disney. No, unfortunately.
Yeah, but like, I think that's it, and that's what we kind of learned from, and like things have started to change since then. And like obviously you've got kind of the Lion King, that's a predominantly black cast now, like the remake, not the original. Before anyone says, what are you talking about? And like what else is it? Oh, you've got Princess and the Frog now.
Yes,
got like Moana and all.
One of my favorites, Princess and the Frog. That is a bang. Speaking of good songs, that is a fucking just so good.
I like the Bayou song. That is the best song. Going down the Bayou. Love it.
All good stuff.
Honestly.
Well, this whole idea only got more cemented by Disney itself when last year Atlanta, the TV show, predominantly black cast, producers, creators, did a mockumentary called The Goof Who Stood by the Door or something like that, or the Goof That Sat by the Door, I think it's called. It's a spoof of a blaxploitation title, but basically it's a mockumentary about a guy who accidentally becomes the CEO, a black guy who's an animator, like a very low position, becomes the CEO of Disney and goes out of his way to make the blackest movie ever made. And it's hilarious. It's very dark.
Very dark.
But it's up there for like, it's up there for,
to see people who watch that half hour and don't know that it's a mockumentary.
Like initially when I found out about
fully believe it. Yeah.
Initially when I saw it, it was like a TikTok or something like that. So I was like, oh, what's this? And then I was like, is that true? And then I learned again, white director, white writers, white actors, predominantly white. But yeah, like I think it's great if you culturally can adopt something or find a connection.
That's true with any film, though. If you can find parties out, I mean, hopefully it's not in like Hannibal and stuff, but like if you can.
Oh, I definitely see myself in Hannibal all the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
I know Andy does.
And, well, yeah, that's true. But yeah, if you can relate to something, especially at a young age, because you're very kind of, what's the word? Influential.
Yeah. Well, not influential, but
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
Easily influenced.
There we go.
You're easily influenced, aren't you?
Easily led.
So, yeah.
A sheep.
You're a sheep. You're just a hunk of clay waiting to be molded. You're a prick.
You're a prick. Everyone's a prick. If we've learned anything from this podcast, connections, communication. But if you can't communicate, you're a fucking prick.
Prick.
And sometimes if you can communicate, you're still a prick.
You're bigger prick. But yeah, like there's it, and that's it, isn't it? Like when you're little, if you can relate to something, or if you can look up to something and see yourself in that kind of thing, or see who you want to be as a person, then that's what it's all about, isn't it? I know someone whose daughter, like I know a white family whose daughter is absolutely mad on Moana, and she got slated for letting her buy a costume.
But it's a kid.
I know, and this is it. It's like, why wouldn't you want? And like, she's a Disney princess.
Yeah.
And if you aspire to be someone that brings peace and harmony to a tribe full of people, then that's a good. Surely that saves the planet, because then like turning into ash and all the rest of it, like that's a good thing.
But like,
and
I've seen a ton of white kids dress up as Black Panther. I'm not going to go up to that kid and go, "You're offensive," or anything like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that." Maybe if they were an adult, I'd probably go, maybe choose a different character. Yeah. Maybe just think about it. There's a few problematic cosplayers out there. I won't go into it, but there's people that do that when they shouldn't. And some.
But if you are a child and you look at a character, no matter what that character is, as long as that character is a good character with good morals and not Maleficent,
not Hannibal.
And not Hannibal.
Don't be Hannibal.
I mean, you could be Maleficent. She's a very strong, powerful woman.
I mean, you could. I mean, if you watch the
live action one,
yeah, exactly.
There you go. But if you can see yourself as a good person and you're getting that from a character from a Disney film, then why wouldn't you like? And if a lot of people, like you said, like Black communities have taken this like a Goofy movie to be like part of their culture and all the rest of it, like great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do it. If you can all relate to that, then why shouldn't you?
More power to you. That's what I say. Absolutely. I mean, there's obviously there's other arguments where people are like, oh well, if Goofy is a black coded character, then arguably he's strengthening harmful stereotypes. But again, it's not for something for me to discuss or determine. Yeah. It's not my conversation to have. I just think it's a cool thing where people can see themselves in characters or in films, and then they can identify. I think that is a cool thing to do and to happen. But Natalie, we've talked enough about a Goofy movie, so we're just going to go bye.
Has it been 4 hours?
Not been 4 hours. Don't worry. It's a little bit over. I think a little bit over an hour and a half. So
not too bad.
Not been too bad. Like we're being responsible. We've got on a few tangents, a few weird ones.
It is a school night.
It is a school night, and I don't want to keep you. You've got things to be getting on with, and so do I. I've got to process this thing and edit it and all that. I won't do all of that tonight, but
I was going to say
before we finish, I don't have any listener comments, unfortunately. But
what? Nobody put a question in the box.
Well, you know what? This is it now. You've got to convince people now in this argument, your final statement, to get them to watch, because clearly people don't have anything to say because they've not watched it. That's what I think. So I
hope it's because they've not watched it. I mean, because when you look at it,
they just went, oh, Natalie's on. It's going to be another fucking 4 hours. that fucking prick.
I like it, then.
That's what I think. I think either people, and again, like sometimes my podcasts vary like wildly. Like this year, I've done a Goofy movie. I've also done Cannibal Holocaust. so the audience does vary a little bit, and some they tune in for, and some films they'll watch before they come out. The podcast comes out. But
to be fair, it just sounds like my music taste. That Disney too. Absolute heavy metal rock.
Well, Natalie, this is it. So why, for the final time, should people open their Disney Plus and put on a Goofy movie?
If you want just an enjoyable, nice movie to watch that doesn't feel like you've been sat there for an hour and a half, it feels like a 30-minute Goof Troop episode, put on a Goofy movie because you don't want to be a prick.
Good argument.
There you go. Honestly, if you've not watched it, watch it, and if you have watched it as a child and thought, it's not really for me, watch it again, because I think you rekindle your love of Goofy. Dan, have you gone back and watched any of actual like classic Goofy while you've had Disney Plus?
No, I will say I haven't gone back and watched classic Goofy, but as I said at the start, or bet you have.
I have. Not only that, but I've watched the new Mickey Mouse stuff with Goofy in it as well.
Oh, all right.
I know. I mean, I was off on maternity leave for like 8 months and there was nothing else.
Like, I've watched everything on Disney Plus 5 times. What else is there? What's in the back catalogue?
I think the one point we were in the cinema and the advert for Disney Plus came on and I sat there going, what's that? Watch that.
Seen it.
Got it.
Own it. Got it. Bought the T-shirt. Met the character at Disneyland. Done it all.
But yeah, definitely, everyone should go and watch a Goofy movie. Just as, do you know what? Even like rainy day, Sunday afternoon,
Yeah.
you've got nothing. Got a spare hour and a half. You don't know what to do with yourself. Just put a Goofy movie on and enjoy. Enjoy watching it as a parent or an adult instead of watching it as a kid.
Yeah, no, I agree because like I said, I remember seeing it. I don't remember it being a big influence, but clearly it did because I did my own Powerline concert. But there we go. It had an unconscious effect on me that I'm unaware of, or thought maybe it was conscious at the time. Who knows? But I'm glad I came back to it, because there's so many layers that we've discussed and discovered, and things I didn't know, the backstory. Again, I'm not gone too much into the kind of IMDb trivia and stuff, but go read it yourself.
You don't need to.
Nah,
you don't need to. Just go and watch it.
Yeah, there's enough depth. But if you do want to, I'll leave a few kind of the YouTube videos we've watched and research. I do recommend the Atlanta episode. I think it's really funny.
Yeah, really funny.
Really, really interesting, really fascinating. Great performances in it. Oh, just hilarious. But go in knowing it's a darkly comic mockumentary. It's not real. It's not about the real director. It's not. Just bear that in mind, because you've got to view it like that. And yeah, I won't spoil it, but it's really good.
It's really good.
I tell you what, watch a Goofy movie, then watch the Atlanta episode. Season 4, the Goof that sat by the door. Go check it out. Brilliant, fantastic bit of just television. I have to agree, brilliant. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed talking to you again about this and talking about silly dogs and Disney movies. And
it's like we've got a theme going on, Dan.
I know, I've got a theme. What's next? What's next for Natalie, do you think?
I don't know.
You'll have to have a think. I remember you did say you wanted to do a Reese Witherspoon one.
Oh, let's do some Reese Witherspoon films.
Do you want to do like a top 5 Reese Witherspoon films or something like that?
God, yes.
Yeah.
Does that mean I have to watch all the...
Gonna have to watch them all. All of the Legally Blondes, all of the Cruel Intentions, and whatever else she's made.
Is she in all of the Cruel Intentions?
I mean, she could be. Who knows? I've never seen the other ones, so surprised.
She's just such a strong woman, though, in film. It's just...
Well, there you
we
go.
like strong women in film.
So
but anyway,
we'll try that. If anybody wants that sooner rather than later, let us know, and we'll do that. And maybe I'll pull some really weird and obscure Reese Witherspoon films out of my bag, and just just for Natalie to go, I'm never watching that one. I'm like, good, because it's not for you. It's not your bag. It won't be your bag.
Not for you.
It's Reese Witherspoon's Cannibal Holocaust. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But before you go, Natalie, people can find you on the social medias, can't they? Where can they find you?
So predominantly Instagram, because that's the only place where I can get 5 minutes to go and look at pictures these days. But
the only place you're allowed.
Yeah. So currently under In the Thick of the Fog with full stops in between all of them words. But yeah, you'll find me on there, dotting around doing stuff. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, posting the mum life, the baby life.
Life. This is it. All about
life.
Literally being in the thick of the fog.
Yes, sometimes.
Like,
that's my brain. That's my brain most of the time. Is deeply in the thick of the fog.
Yeah. I feel like I'm getting a few more sunny days though now. Now that she's like shouting at me as we're walking down the street.
Communication. That's what it's all about.
Yes, all about communication. Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic.
Communicating just like Andy does by shouting at me while we're walking down the street.
That's just healthy relationships. That's how it is. I mean, maybe I needed to shout more at my girlfriend in my previous relationships. Maybe they would have worked out.
Maybe.
Probably not. Probably not.
It's only me that can pull with Andy shouting at me, don't like me, and then me.
Well, to be honest, I'm more scared of you shouting than Andy shouting. I'll be honest.
There you go.
I'm more terrified.
You make me out to be this horrible shouty person.
Me? No.
Honestly.
No, you're fine.
I am. I have got like full on resting bitch face, but other than
no, not in your wedding dress, not on your special day.
I look bang tidy in that way.
Yeah, I agree. The boobs are almost out.
They were
Popping out. Big time boob pop.
Yeah, I love it. Didn't think I had that much of them.
Hey, it worked. It worked. And but
I told you this is what you do. You don't wear any makeup and you make yourself in baggy clothes all the time. And then when you do make an effort, everyone goes, fucking hell, she looks good.
bang tidy, as you said, bang tidy. Your words, not mine. So you can find me at www.spiderdownthesecretballs.com. So if you want to join the Prattalion and to be briefed in full on the secret balls, swing over to Prattle World on the World Wide Web. Review, like, share, comment, subscribe, etc. And don't forget to use the hashtag #PrepareForPrattle when you interact with us. Please subscribe to the Pop Culture Collective newsletter to find out what myself, Comics in Motion, and all the other related podcasts are up to week by week. I'd also like to thank my patrons on Patreon. I am Jack's Musings, Simon Cotton, Paul Meller, Max Byrne, Mike Burton, Angry Andy, Tonya Todd, and Tony Farina for their continuing donations. It is very much appreciated and helps Prattle World keep on turning. And if you ever find yourself in a position to help the podcast, please consider it. And thank you, Natalie, again for helping the podcast. This has been really fun, and I've loved talking some more Disney with you. I'm sure we'll do something again. Again, Reese Witherspoons, all of the spoons. We'll do that very soon when I find the time, or whenever. Years in the future, years down the line. When I don't know if there's that many. I've not seen that many Reese Witherspoon films. No, shock horror.
There's definitely at least 2, 3.
She's definitely done 2 films. Definitely.
There's Legally Blonde and Legally Blonde 2. I know that.
Done. So even you haven't watched that many. Great, big fan. Natalie's clearly a big fan. What a great topic for a podcast.
Excellent topic for a podcast. No, I like the thingy though, the morning show.
Ah, okay, I've heard of that one.
Do you like the morning? Have you not watched it, Dan?
No.
Watch the morning show. It's
well,
hilarious.
again, this will be good because this will get me out of my comfort zone again, which again I enjoy doing. So
watch that.
We're gonna go now. Thank you again, Natalie. This has been great. Thank you for reintroducing me to my childhood and reintroducing me to a Goofy movie and making sure everybody goes out and tunes in to that particular film. And we finally did see Eye to Eye.
Love it.
Goodbye.